There is also a mission, I think, of humanity to learn how to adapt and live in nature when it's getting hot, in nature as it starts to become desertified. We live in a place that has already become desertified because here used to be covered in trees and forest all over hundreds of years ago before colonization, and they chopped all the trees down for building boats, and then this became an arid desert. Like here already we have an example of how humans have impacted environments irreversibly, or almost irreversibly, because now we're showing that bit by bit you can begin to reverse that. The dream here would be to plant so many trees that grow so big eventually that we're creating our own little ecosystem here that is actually having a positive impact on bringing more water to these spaces, because we can't just depend on these privatized water sources.
Imagine a world in harmony with nature, with others, and with ourselves. A world where people are nourished by diversity and beauty. Do you believe it can exist? Utopia. Discovering dreams that are reality.
My name is Tomás.
My name is Isabel.
My name is Javi.
We are in this beautiful social experiment called Plantamar. We're in the southeast of Tenerife, in this community, this holistic healing center. It's a journey that cannot be explained in just one definition, but we're on our way to creating a common vision. For now, it's been many things during these 5 years, and now we are rediscovering in a groupal and in an association way what and where we are.
We are 10 adults and 3 kids, but there's people coming also and staying like temporary. There are people coming throughout the year also.
Interestingly, none of us actually live here, so the term live is really interesting. And it's true, we are 10 adults. And it's true that we spend a lot of time here, but none of us live here all year round. It's like a project on top of a community. For the way that this land is, it's impossible to live here. Like to really live here, to put down real firm roots. So actually what we did without realizing, we thought we were building houses maybe, but actually we were creating artistic installations. What these things are eco-nests, and that's like this idea of nesting, this idea of trying to create spaces where you can reconnect with nature. They're not homes or houses, they're nests. They're places that keep you warm, that allow you to be in nature and be protected, but just for a certain amount of time, and then you fly, you know? So I'm gonna take you to see one of the eco nests. This was actually a project that my sister started. She understood that there was this rock that you could dig. You know, that there's a layer of rock here, which is solid, really solid. It's a particular layer of volcanic ash that cooled at a certain temperature, and then all the stuff below is another layer of volcanic ash that cooled at a certain temperature, because obviously there's a volcanic island, so everything, all the rock formations here have a certain characteristics. So this kind of material below is actually really easy to dig with a pickaxe, just with your hand. So she began to dig, and she dug, and she was digging and digging, and obviously lots of people helped. There's no way she could have done this on her own. I used to come on holiday from London and spend hours digging here, and it expanded and expanded. And this particular kind of eco-nest and creative installation, you know, each one has their own flavor. My sister chose, for example, to leave the connection between the bottom, the floor, and the sky. So it's kind of like a tree or a mushroom, you know, how it expands and grows, and it feels supported.
The name Plantamar came up in a dream, and I was with Clara in a beautiful permacultural land in south of Senegal. And at that moment, we were both saying, like, this is it. Like, we're not going back to the system after this 7-month journey that has completely transformed our beliefs, our way of enjoying life. So where are we going? We're going to create this. Like, it just came as a strong determination of, I'm just putting all of my life into manifesting this. I don't have the money to buy a land. Neither of us had like a stable job. We had been 7 months like deconstructing ourselves, so we had nothing to come back to. But we had a strong faith of, this is what humanity needs, yes! And when we came to this land, there was this lady that was, you want to young people here, living, building, making the gardens, vegetables. She just couldn't believe, like, we wanted to be in this abandoned land where there was no water, no electricity, nothing. So she said, for sure, try. She thought we would like last maybe 2 months at the most. So she told us, like, just try. The first 2-3 months will be for free, and then we will see. Those 2-3 months ended up being 2 years of not paying any rent or putting any economy into it. We were putting our energy and our time every day. And we were still believing, like, even if it wasn't ours, there was a feeling of we're not doing it to have it. It was never about owning it. There was this bigger dream of, like, the more people come, it was just really cycling by itself. From year 3 to year 5, we've been in a process of slowly, through a rent, paying her 300 euros per month. That between many it was a privilege.
Yeah.
And last year she said, I want it all, whatever's left, the whole amount of the land. You have a year to give it all to me. So this was another moment of pressure to say, so who is ready to invest a big amount of money to actually, bring it into the association so that the association has the funds to buy the whole place. Doing this act of faith also of, like, even if it's not going to be my private property, I'm still investing in the space, the concept, the vision. For me, it's been a great symbol of from nothing, from having absolutely no 30,000 euros was not in my pocket, or I couldn't imagine the way of getting it. Patience, constancy, believing,
Compromise,
committing.
Privileges also.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I think we are like, well, we all have some privileges also here, culturally, family, economically, whatever. So in a way, it's easier to say everything is gonna come, and it comes. But maybe we have the confidence because we have the privileges also.
Sure. Thank you for naming.
Gender, whatever. Yeah,
super
also.
important to name. Okay, so come this way. Here we have a structure which we call the shop. And it's not actually a shop, you can't buy anything. And anyway, we're an association, so we don't sell things. But the idea with this place was to create a space where we could display our art. We could also meet, have meetings when we come together for an important meeting to discuss things about the association. It's also a chill out space, so it's very versatile. But really the main first idea was art. And that's why on the walls you can see, I made this one myself. This was my first piece of clay art, because initially we were just like, how can we build walls, right? But once you have walls, then you're like, oh wait, how can I make my walls look nice? So I learned how to apply the clay in a different way, and I made that spiral, and it's not even finished. So like many of these spaces, and many bioconstruction spaces, they're in a process of construction, and none of them are permanent. All of them you could move away in one day. You could take them down and put them up somewhere else, because we don't use cement, we just use clay, stone, palms, cane, all of these things you can find here in nature. This is the common kitchen. It's actually the first cave that existed in Plantamor. And it's the first space that we decided would be a good common space for meetings, for planning activities, for being protected from the wind. But initially the roof or the ceiling was up to here, and the cave probably extended up to here. So it took a lot of work to expand the limits, but this is where we learned how to do that. And then also to make the floor took a lot of time. And as you can see, it's not just a floor for walking, it's an artistic space where we've expressed, that the heart of what we do is in nature, and that's something that we did. And we put these symbols in because we know life is a spiral of learning. These things are kind of embedded into our floor. You see them every day, and they're at the root of what we do. So it's a really important space. It's a shared space. It does require a lot of organizing. It's a source of conflict, this place also. So it's a place that is, because everyone has different cultures and ways of running a kitchen. So that's been really, really interesting, how much this is a laboratory of its own within the whole thing. A laboratory for learning to negotiate, learning to compromise, learning to accept each other's differences, but also learning to have some common guideline. So we want to create within that game. We respect that it exists and that we can't change the whole thing right now, but we want to try something different. We want to create our own rules, We want to live in accordance with nature. We want to recover some of the ancient traditions of our ancestors who looked after the land and lived in harmony with nature, and really study the local tradition as well and remind people of this because it's getting lost. And we want to experiment with these different ways of living so we can inspire other people to also go out and create their own projects in their own way, because we don't know what is the way. We're just experimenting here with a specific set of conditions and people. But the city is just imposing ways of life on people and imposing capitalist ways of life on people. They don't get a choice. Here we're trying to say, okay, we get to choose, and maybe today it's like this, and maybe tomorrow we find a better system. But for now, we create a system that is good enough for now, safe enough to try. And as we grow and evolve, we can change that. But the outside system is not giving people this freedom. So we need this freedom. We need the freedom to raise children differently. Because the children going into schools are getting their inner child crushed, just like all of us had our inner child crushed. And now we're going through all these therapies together to try and revive it. So it's really exciting to have this opportunity together. Welcome to the dance floor. So this is a structure made of pallets underneath. So the pallets are dug into the ground. It's only good enough for now, safe enough to try as well. The pallets will break over time. So it was just an initial structure that then on top we put these things which are called tatamis. And they're very soft, so they provide a great space for us to practice all sorts of different dance, movement. Like I connect very much with animal movement. And animal movement has helped me a lot with my shoulder injuries. And it's fun. It's what brings a lot of joy to me. It's a great way of interacting with the kids as well because they do it naturally. And then this contact improvisation dance, which has been at the heart of connecting us as a community in terms of touch, in terms of weight, being able to feel the weight of someone and take responsibility for that, but also them taking responsibility for themselves, because in the end, we all have to take our own responsibility. And I can really feel that we're changing as a community by having contact dance as a therapeutic tool together. That's for me is like, wow, really powerful tool.
I don't need that.
In terms of costs of the community, I would say we really don't have so many costs because we covered the solar panels. We invested in some really good solar panels, and we've all shared the costs of that. So energy-wise, we're self-sufficient here. Then I would say gas, we use gas for the shower and gas for the cooker. But I would say monthly, maybe it's like 20 euros. I'm not really sure. And then every individual that has their own space that they look after their own gas needs. But there is a certain amount of common things we share. We share a community car, so there are common costs to that, the insurance and the maintenance, which we all share that.
And the water that is connected to the local pipes. Like after 3 years of not having that, we managed our way into being connected. Of course, it's a cost.
It's a cost, and water is going to be a big problem in the Canaries going forward. This is the sink that I built with one of my colleagues, Tim, a few years ago. And the idea was to try and create a system that we could use this water, all the water that comes through, and take it down into the gardens so that we could reuse it. So we have one pipe coming from the other main kitchen that meets here in a box. There's a box underneath here, and this pipe takes the water down into this box that combines with the other thing. I'd never done plumbing at the time, so I felt like Super Mario. We were like Mario and Luigi making this thing, and we were digging underneath here, and the pipe goes all the way down, all this way, all the way down into the gardens. Behind that bush, there is a little filtration system, which we can look at later. It's not the most modern thing in the world, but it's a place where the water comes down and is purified for a first time of the grease, like the grease floats to the top. And then after, the water drips down into a place where there is like papyrus, which is a plant that helps also to filter. So yeah, that was a big project. It was like, how do we make sure if we really need water, how do we take advantage of this? So this is the shower. We have a gas shower. This was an upgrade from this season, but it still has a little trick to it because it's recycled. You have to use a little lighter to turn it on. There's a little trick to it, you know? So everything is because, we're trying to use recycled materials. I think we found this on Facebook Marketplace for 20 euro. But finally this year we have gas shower. We used to use the rocket stove there, So we have been having hot showers for a while, but the rocket stove, you know, you'd have to go and get the wood and it might be windy or the wood might be wet, or even if you manage to have a hot shower, you come out smelling of smoke. So this was a nice upgrade this season to say, hey, in the winter, sometimes I just want to come and put the gas on and have a shower and then come and have a look inside. This shower was one of the first structures we built, but this year we refurbished it. The level of finishing of the shower is really good this time. This has a coating of beeswax on it, so it's waterproof. The clay was finished really nicely, and then we put the chalk over it. The clay is really refined and scrubbed, so you get a nice finishing. And then here we put, we left the color of the clay, but we have like beeswax, and you also use the cactus. We have this cactus which has a very gelatinous inside, and we use the stickiness of this cactus in water. It's a waterproof outside. And then, yeah, we use bottles as well. The bottles are really an important part of what we do. This was from the beginning. This has been here almost 5 years. Bottles provide air space, so that creates a bit of insulation, and they also bring in a lot of light. Yeah, the shower is a space we're very proud of. It's an eco shower. We have obviously really important signage is something that's really important in community, because you have people coming and going. Some basic instructions, for example, to use biodegradable soaps, because our water is going into the garden. All the water from the shower goes and feeds these bananas and this sugar cane. So this is another one which has been like here for 5 years. It's a bit precarious. This was made purely of recycled materials. Everything you see here is recycled. It was never even properly finished. But this clay has survived for 5 years. You can see where it's fallen off. And you can see the inside is made of stone, like I said, from the caves. For me, it's like, how can we live in a world where we recognize that my shit is your shit and your shit is my shit? We're all dealing with the same shit, whether it's our actual physical shit or the emotional shit we're dealing with in the world, or the economical mess that our politicians have left us in. And so we have a responsibility to at least look after our own shit. So yeah, we compost all of our own shit. We put it in some shit boxes that are outside, as far away as we can from the community. And they are, you know, the shit there dries for 12 months, I think is the plan that we do. And so we fill up a box, we let it dry for 12 months, and then we're actually able to use that eventually with trees, for example. We wouldn't use it with, say, lettuce or things like that, but with our fruit trees, after 12 months of this composting, of this aging, especially if we start to use worms and stuff as well, and microorganisms, you can really accelerate the process, and you can be composting your own shit and turning it into something good for the earth.
We've always had this will to do our gardening, to have our own source of vegetables. But the truth is, what you're naming, it's in very arid land. Like, because of no trees and there's no materia orgánica.
The soil was dead.
You have to work a lot with the soil. Before you can be eating anything, it's paying attention to the soil. So we were throwing seeds there like, this is, very frustrating. We didn't have any knowledge either. Like, now I feel like, because of the people who have come and our own personal investigation and stuff, through being consistent and being there and really working on that soil, things. Today we were eating a beetroot from the garden. Like, we're not self-sustainable on vegetables at all, but we are slowly getting there, I feel like.
This is our fig tree. It's the mama fig tree at the center of the community also. It's right next to where I was telling you all the water from the sink from above comes down and filters through under here. So that's why it grows so big. Actually, fig trees don't need so much water, but this one was already here and it's really responded well. And as you can see, we're gonna have a very abundant summer of figs. And I really enjoy figs, so this is the tallest tree in Plantamor. It was planted, many years ago now. And we don't really have many tall trees, so we have to be very proud. You know, when we first came, it was all quite small vegetation that survived just from humidity, not from rain or from watering. So now our dream for all of us is to have these different spaces of shade and different ecosystems at different levels that will attract birds, that will attract butterflies, and that will really help to reforest the space, you know, and create these new ecosystems that are more sustainable and less desert. So this is our tallest and most abundant papaya tree. And papayas are amazing fruit, tropical fruit, because they can come all year round. And a papaya tree can actually grow super high. So yeah, this one is taller than me, and it probably only has like 2 or 3 years. Actually, a lot of the trees on this terrace grew from compost, just from reusing our compost, and they would be dry seeds and they just emerged. That's why they're sometimes a bit close to each other. This is an avocado, which is also just came straight from the compost and is gonna do really well, hopefully. Yeah, here is the space that I've been working on. Findus is now working on it with me, and I've been working on this for over a year. So it can show you how quick or long it takes. Now, when I say a year, most of that year I might not have even been here, because I'm usually only here for the winters here, and then in the summers I work in the UK and try and save money that I can bring back to invest here. This is the front wall, which I'm really proud of, and this is why, for me, this is a creative installation, no? This was about giving people different perspectives and ways of seeing the world. This came from a washing machine, this circular thing, and the idea is when the floor is on this level, you think you're looking in the mirror, but actually you're looking out, and then suddenly you look up and you see yourself. And it's about getting people to try and see the world differently and think differently. Yeah, this was an old recycled piece of wood that used to be a sign for a restaurant, and it's really good wood, and now it's made for this amazing desk, you know?
This place for me is a trampoline. It's for us even, like, I feel we've come here to discover what it is exactly that we want on a personal level, and this is the playground. From here, I believe we could all have the potential to you go and start your own thing and it will have your flavor. We support you. We already have three members from that were here like 24/7 who've now split and have their own project, and they travel between here and their own project to fulfill that personal need. No? So I do feel there is a part of us as humans who we enjoy to have something that is ours, and community living is very threatening for that. So I do feel it's a place that you can come, replenish from this collective energy, and set up your personal dream. And maybe that's a personal dream of creating another community with a more clearer vision, for example, because I feel I had a vision when I came here, but I didn't know how to properly communicate it. I didn't have these skills of leadership to not be this dictator who just imposes things. So I would personally want to start another project at some point of my life and feel with all of this knowledge that Planta Amor has given me, this is like the seed. And then from this seed, the plant has taken out new seeds, and these seeds are flying around. And yeah, I would want to impact the world, really. My biggest vision is impacting the world with, yes, it's possible to live differently. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's part of the transition that we have to make, and something is dying. Like, we do have to grieve what is dying from this old way of living. And there are spaces that can hold you in that uncomfort and hopefully give you the space to then flourish. So my vision has a lot to do about the human process, the human emotional side of life.
So, at the center of every community should be a trampoline. So how my sister was talking about trampolining, no? The whole place is a trampoline for our dream and for our project. But obviously, physical trampoline is also super fun, brings out your inner child, allows for loads of exercise, allows for you to practice lots of muscle movement without thinking about it, and is a great way of bringing together adults and kids. Alone, we can't change the world. But if we're inspiring lots of other people, then it's this ripple effect, or this like mycelium of mushrooms that is spreading and networking, and then we can really have a big impact. Viva, viva!
Utopia. Discovering dreams that are reality.